Alright, here we go. Let's break down our stick concept just so we can clear up what we're really trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish by manipulating the defense. So let's start with our two-man side of stick. We can run it out of a 3-receiver set or 2-receiver set. We'll first start with the stick route. Boom. Think geometric on the stick route. I want you really to take this to 5 or 6 yards and then run a 90-degree angle out. And then you're finding the soft spot. Wherever there's no defender, wherever there's grass, you're settling down and you're finding eyes to your quarterback so he can throw it. Only time it isn't is if it's man coverage, then I want you to keep on running out to give yourself a chance to get the ball. And also, if it's man coverage, I want you to press up on the person that's guarding you towards his inside shoulder and then break out. Give him an inside move, and that's just going to give you more space right here if it is man coverage for the quarterback to throw you the ball. Now let's go to our outside receiver. I'm going to call this an angle route, an angle out. I think I've called it a speed out with you guys, and I think an angle out makes more sense. So we're taking this, we're running at an angle, and we're breaking at 6 to 7 yards. Alright, so this isn't a speed out where you're here, boom. Calling it and running it as an angle route opens up this window, which is really what we're trying to do when we run stick. So you're really taking this defender, this cornerback, and you're holding him out here to make a big window for that stick route to be thrown. Quarterbacks, your reads are pre-snap. If you really like this out, 6 to 7 yard out, and the corner's playing off, and you think you have it, throw it. If it's not there, come down to the stick. That's our number 2 read. If that's not there, we're going to go to the backside where we have a dagger concept, we have a dig, we have a seam, and then we're going to have something shallow, and it's usually going to be the back. This seam really isn't a part of the read. If they blow coverage and you get to it, throw it. But usually it's just going to run off coverage, especially if the defense plays the right coverage. It's not going to be open. So you're looking from right to left, 1, 2, and now you're trying to locate this weak side defender over here. What does this weak side defender do? Does he gain depth and cover the dig, or does he come up and guard the shallow route? If he covers the shallow, throw the dig. If he covers the dig, throw the shallow. Pretty self-explanatory. So, quarterbacks one more time. Our reads are angle out, stick, and it's really a combined 3 with the shallow and the dig. Now, if we want to go with our 3-man side of stick, where we'd be in hawk and the running back would be out, nothing really changes for the stick. We still have the stick route. We have the angle out at 6 to 7 yards. Our stick route is 5 to 6 yards. And we have our outside guy running. We call it more or a must outside release fade. So you need to get outside of your corner to get him out of there. And our reads are as follows. Quarterbacks are gonna peek this. If you like the matchup, you can throw it. You might throw that 10% of the time. Other than that, you should be down to the angle out. And if that's not there, you're going back to the stick. The stick, again, converts to an out route if it is man coverage. Boom. So you'd press the inside shoulder of the defender, break out and keep running, and you should have a big window. If this out runs at angle, if that's not there, 1, 2, 3, we're going to go to the backside. And now we have the same concept, but just minus the seam. So we have our shallow route and we have our dig route. Again, you're going to locate that weak side defender. What is he doing? Is he gaining depth or is he coming up to the shallow? Because you're going to do the opposite of what he does. So that's kind of the illustration and what we're trying to do on our stick route. Quarterbacks, it's a pure progression. You go from the stick side and you just work your way left. When you find yourself backside, locate that weak defender and go from there. Coming up next, we're going to have some film breakdowns and just some cut-ups of how NFL teams have run stick. And I really want you guys just to focus on how they run it because they execute it really well.
Let's take a look at 2 clips of stick being run out of a 3 receiver set. This one's going to be versus zone coverage. The next one we're going to take a look at will be against man coverage. But starting off with this one, our bottom receiver is going to have an outside release fade. Our slot receiver, he's going to have a speed out. And our tight end slot receiver, he's going to run 5 yards and he's going to break out. He's going to settle down if it's zone and find a soft spot. If it's man, he's going to go 5 yards and break out and keep running. Let's fast forward here a little bit. So Jordan Love's pre-snap read, his outside release fade is number 1. He doesn't like it. He sees the safety over the top. So immediately he comes down to the 2. And you see when he's throwing this ball, the receiver's barely out of his break by the time he's releasing. And this corner's still occupied with this outside fade. So he drills this ball in here. Perfect, right? That's 5 yards. That's what we want out of this play. If we go back, let's look at the tight end route. He goes 5 yards. He's reading zone coverage. He keeps running out. The ball's thrown already, but I would like him to try to settle down right here. So if the outside fade wasn't here and the speed out wasn't here, he'd come back to the middle of the field for his tight end. All right, next clip here. This is stick, 3 receiver side, but we're going versus man coverage now. So the reads are going to be very similar, close to the same, but now our decision process is a little different. So Jordan Love reads man coverage on this, and this is the 1 read, but usually it's more of a runoff because there's a safety over the top. But in this case, there isn't, so he likes his matchup down here. So he's already decided that he's going to throw this. So now when he gets the ball, he's holding the safety for a little bit, boom, and he throws it. Right, his footwork's completely different than if he was working this stick, which we just saw. Because if this stick was being thrown, the ball would be thrown right now. And he's not in any rush because he knows he's throwing it here. But if he didn't decide that, his feet would be a little quicker, boom, and this ball would be thrown right to the speed out right now while he has 5 yards of separation. If not there, he's working back to the tight end stick route, which in man coverage turns into an out. It's covered, so if you don't like 1, 2, or 3, our quarterback could work to the backside on this and work the dig and the curl behind it. So we saw stick being run on the 3 receiver side. Now let's see how stick can be run on the 2 receiver side. And it looks a little different, but still accomplishes the same thing. It basically gets rid of the fade, and now we only have the speed out, and we have the stick route, sit route, or an out route, depending on if we get man or zone. So when we look at here, let's look at the top of our screen, because that's where stick is being called. We have the speed out, and we have the stick route. Now, it looks like it's not going to be really good spacing, but since it's zone coverage, this tight end isn't necessarily breaking out, but really just trying to find a soft spot. So when we break it, the tight end feels the linebacker jump out. So instead of going out, the tight end sticks it in the ground and works it back towards the middle of the field. The out route's covered, but now that stick route or grass route, get open route, whatever you want to call it, gets open, and a good throw on time gets a good 10-yard completion right there. Moving to our second example of stick, we're going to see how the Titans run it, and they do a mirrored version. So we're going to take a look at the top and bottom. First, we'll look at the top and see how the execution of it. It's in zone coverage. As a quarterback, if we're looking at the top and I'm seeing that, I'm throwing that right away, and we're getting 5 yards. Moving in, if you don't like that, move to the tight end stick. This tight end doesn't do a great job of getting open, really gets pressed really bad. So if you were reading that side, it would go top, and then the tight end's dead, you would work the backside. Now let's pretend that our main side was the bottom. We're going to work the speed out, which Tannehill sees, and he throws right away. If he didn't throw the out route, we look, and the tight end sits down right in the soft spot of the zone. That's perfect. He doesn't run out to get into this flat defender. He sticks it, finds a zone. So if this out wasn't thrown, Tannehill would be able to throw it to the tight end, and it would be a gain of 5. Moving to our last example, this is stick against man coverage. So this is going to be a little bit different This one, you're going to see the stick routes are going to convert into out routes because it is man coverage. You're going to want to run away from the person that's guarding you. So take a look at the bottom. We see the speed out being jammed pretty heavily. Carson Wentz should get off that right away and come down to the stick. Stick's open. As long as he throws it on time, it's a gain of 5. Let's go back and let's take a look at the top of our screen. Speed out, boom. I think you could throw it right there, and it definitely is open. If that wasn't, you come down to the tight end, and the tight end gets jammed pretty good but comes open late. So there are 2 variations and 2 options of stick being run versus man in his zone coverage look.